everybody, welcome back to INSANEBRIT Gaming. I'm the INSANEBRIT, and today's News Friday we're going to be talking about two specific subjects, and that is the Xbox diskless based console that's coming out and the new streaming service known as Google Stadia. And you have to run be able to run a specific speed, of course, to get access to this. But let's break the article down nonetheless. At Google's GDC 2019 keynote address, the company shocked the gaming world with its announcement of its Stadia platform. Stadia promises to be the next generation of video game, delivering instant access to AAA video games, regardless of what hardware the player has at their disposal. That sounds promising right away. While the Stadia presentation impressed many, the question remained what kind of internet connection would be required to actually use the service effectively, but that has since been cleared up by Phil Harrison. And I'll get to that in a little bit. Yes, the presentation did look quite impressive. He bounced from a phone to an iPad or whatever to a PC and so forth. And you'll be able to basically play these on the go anywhere, apparently, as long as you've got decent internet speed. To play in 1080p, 60 frames per second, you need specifics, and I'll get into that as well. According to Harrison, the recommended internet speed to play Google Stadia games at 1080p 60 frames per second is 25 megabytes per second. Now, I actually am in London, capital city. You look at LA, you look at New York, and I get 20 megabytes per second. I'm supposed to get 20 megabytes per second. I probably get about 10, 12. Something stupid like that. I don't know. Actually, now that I'm wired, I might get a little bit more. I don't know. I haven't checked that. But at the same time, I'm living in a capital city, and I'm only just being able to get fiber optic as of next month or something like that. So it's taken a long while for capital cities to get that kind of internet. No, I'm not with Virgin or whatever internet, and I know they do fiber optics, but at the same time, they can only have fiber optics in certain areas, etc., etc. And I'm not willing to pay, like many of you, business rates for business internet, which would be extremely good internet, I know, no doubt. But at the same time, I'm not willing to pay X, Y, and Z amount more per month for business internet. I'm just not. Isn't worth it for me. Well, it could be, but I get along mostly fine with this. But at the same time. So I could only imagine in rural areas like outside of London and everything are going to struggle with the streaming service, along with a lot of other people in rural areas all across the world, especially in places where the internet just generally isn't that good in general, and you know, kind of people that get Skype lagging or something like that. You know what I mean? Okay. Harrison then added that Google Stadia will handle resolution and frames per second in the background, with it being determined by the capabilities of one's internet speed. Essentially, this should make Google Stadia much more accessible than many anticipated after the keynote, but it appears that in those rural areas, poor internet speed still will be missing out. Google Stadia's internet speed requirements could be what keeps it from dominating the next generation of video gaming when it releases later this year. Evidence points to both PlayStation 5 and Xbox offering robust streaming services as well, though they will also have traditional consoles that will presumably be able to play games offline. This will make the investment in a PS5 or new Xbox instead of Google Stadia make a lot more sense for someone with unreliable internet, which unfortunately is a huge chunk of the United States. And of course, you know, rather than, you know, you can pay a subscription, which would be a cheaper version, because you don't need a console. So rather than pay out for a new Xbox or PS5 or whatever it may be that they come out with, this is going to be the cheaper option for you, especially if you're a casual gamer. Having said that, if that internet speed isn't good enough, then you're just basically, you know, you're wasting your money and your time. You might be better off just investing in that console and playing it offline when you want, so you don't have to be connected to the internet all the time. Having said that, there are other streaming services out there as well. Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation PS Plus, not PS Plus, PS Now, sorry, is already in functioning. Now, I hear more about Xbox Game Pass than I do PS Now. I've got to be honest with you, I just don't really invest in either one of them, and I probably should. It would benefit me greatly, but I just don't. I don't like the idea of keep giving Xbox any more money than I have to. I already play for my PlayStation Plus. I don't think the Xbox Live is of the games they give away free are all that good here and there, so I pick and choose when to invest in that, and I download them. But again, that's just me primarily. If you're an Xbox One person, then you might invest in, you know, you'll probably pay for it and do the Xbox Game Pass. It's probably worth it for you, but I just don't. I'm very picky, but that's just the way I am. Continuing on with the article. Oh yeah, here we go. Blah blah. Yeah, this is another problem that might crop up. Another hurdle that may keep people from enjoying Google Stadia are internet data caps, and ISPs enforce especially strict data caps that already make things like watching Netflix a pain, let alone streaming AAA video games in 4K resolution. And at 60 frames per second, data caps could be another reason why gamers decide to go with a different console instead of getting too heavily invested in Google Stadia. However, as technology continues advancing and high-speed internet becomes more widely adopted, it seems that Google Stadia will eventually become a viable option. The service is future-proofed, that is technically capable of providing 8K resolution at 120 frames per second, so perhaps it will be hit its stride in a few years down the road instead of right out the gate. Google Stadia will launch in 2019. So it's all seeming quite positive and everything for Google Stadia. If you look at some of the big boys, we've got Xbox, been in the console game for years. You look at Sony, you look at Nintendo. You've got these other big tech giants that we're well aware of, like the likes of Apple, that allow you to play games on their iPhones and stuff like that, and Android. So it's no surprising that the likes of Google steps into this market. But I'm a little bit concerned, not only with the internet speeds that you have to run it. There's good and bad to it. So first and foremost, it makes sense for Google to do this because, let's be honest with you, to have a streaming service is a hell of a lot easier and simpler to run, instead of having years of designing and technology and have to keep coming up with that kind of crap and then market it, develop it, market it, sell it, ship it. It's a lot of aggro. You're competing directly, you're charging X, Y, and Z. You may be even losing profit on a specific console like PlayStation did a couple of years ago, and dare I say the Xbox, I'm not too sure, but I know PlayStation 3 lost money when they first shipped it and they had to make it up on the sales of the games in itself. So it's a lot more complicated. So Google were just sitting there going, well, we're one of the most richest and powerful companies in the world. Let's launch a streaming service. And basically what this does is eliminates that cost effectiveness. It's cost effective. It eliminates the console. It eliminates people having to buy one. It's a subscription. You can just, click on your phone and then say, oh, I want to download the app or whatever it is. And then you'll have access to all those games on the go via PC and whatever else. So you can have you don't have to have a high spec PC to run it. It will run the best of its capabilities it can on your actual, whatever you've got, whether it be phone or whatever, or PC or tablet. But as I said, so they're sitting there with their own studio now, being able to make exclusive games. Doom is already confirmed that it's going to be on Google Stadia. There are third-party people coming in. They've got the money to go and buy companies, pretty much what Xbox is doing right now to compete with the likes of Sony. If you can't beat them, just buy them out kind of thing, which I'll get to in a little bit with Xbox as well. But yeah, so I mean, Google do this with YouTube all the time. They just basically have a massive server, multiple across the world, and they just basically throw in a guy or two to manage it, do maintenance on it, update it. You know, it costs them loads of money to do that, of course, all around the world, but it's a lot more simpler to have people all around the world give you money, and you'll just invest some of that into maintenance and updating its the store in itself. How they're going to do this, I don't know. Will it be a £10 subscription? Will it be a 15 subscription? Will it be 20 a month? Will it be £10 to access it per month and then you actually have to buy the games? The problem with digital sales and stuff like that in general is that they seem to be more expensive than they actually are the physical copy, which don't make a lot of sense because you don't have to ship them or anything. It's just a download, which really pisses me off in itself. However, I am somewhat concerned. My concerns for it mostly is the internet speed. How well is it going to be worth it, kind of thing? You know, will I be able to play X, Y, and Z? And that's just me, and I live, like I said, in central London. So the likes of anyone else in the rural area, will it be worth it? You might well just be better off investing in an X console. But But there's another aspect of it as well, in which I would say my concerns relate to, how should I put this? The word isn't corruption I would use. I would use the word advantage point, I suppose. I don't know. There's a word I'll come up for it at some point. But basically, this is Google. And if they're going to integrate this into the likes of YouTube, which they will, which makes a lot of business sense, let's be honest with you, are they going to suppress people that play the PlayStation 4 and Xbox? Are they going to suppress them and basically, because Google own YouTube, and if people are playing games on YouTube and stuff like that, streaming, of course there's always Twitch you can go to as well to counteract that. But if you put a video on YouTube and you're not using their service, are they gonna, it's Google at the end of the day. These people do remove, they deplatform people for having different opinions and viewpoints to them, so you never know. And it don't have to be something as drastic as that, but they can compress their competition so the games that get seen are mostly viewed on their platform instead of PlayStation or Xbox. Because let's face it, Xbox and PlayStation have a monopoly on YouTube in respects to gaming as well as PC. Let's be honest, I know they're in their own categories in themselves, but is that something that they can, or well, they will do? Let's say they won't, but I just don't trust it, because like I said, they have a history of deplatforming people, compressing people's thoughts and opinions for having an opinion at the end of the day, let alone promoting a rival competition to you. So they got the money for it. They can do the maintenance on the servers and everything else. Having said that, I mean, it's good for gamers because we get more options, more choices for games at the end of the day. I don't like the idea of having to keep paying subscriptions for everybody. I'm getting a little bit fed up with that, and that's one of my things that don't appeal to me. Well, I've got to keep paying for Xbox Live, keep paying for PS Plus. Then I've got, if I pay for Stadia, it's like, and how much is that going to be? I'm just fed up with having to keep doing this every single month, to be honest with you. One's enough for me. Maybe two, and even then, I do it for Netflix, and it's like, well, that's something different in itself. But I'm getting a little bit fed up with these subscription services, and I may not want to use all of them. But it's basically choice at the end of the day. But yeah, so I'm a little bit worried about that aspect of it. Will they allow them to dominate that service, dominate YouTube, and just compress everyone that plays anything else? I don't know. It is what it is. The next story I want to talk about, if I can find it, is Xbox. Xbox coming out with a digital only Xbox One, which basically has 1 terabyte and includes 3 games. Get this, name of the games, ridiculous. It comes out in May apparently. If I can, where's the, oh yeah, the games. I'm trying to find what games are actually. Hold on, where are we? I think they were. Oh, you know what? I'll read the article in itself. Okay, Microsoft is making a digital-only Xbox that is designed at a low-cost gateway to lucrative services. Sources says it releases in May. Sources tell Windows Central that Microsoft digital-only Xbox One S, dubbed the rather awful Xbox One S All Digital Edition, will release on May 7th, 2019. The system will come with a 1 terabyte hard drive and free first-party games that are all designed for long-term monetization. Oh, here we go. Forza Horizon, Sea of Thieves, and Minecraft. Yeah, because I wanted all 3 of those games. The games won't be preloaded, but must be downloaded with codes. Okay, fine. Who cares? The new diskless system is Microsoft's attempt to push gamers permanently into its billion-dollar digital empire. The console isn't an underpowered box though. It has the exact same frame as the retail Xbox One S and the exact same specs. It is not a hardware refresh. The only thing that's different and is missing is the disk drive and a lower retail cost. Nothing's been confirmed, but we expect the digital-only Xbox One S to retail for about 150 or thereabouts. Strangely enough, the Xbox One SAD edition, okay, they've put SAD edition, may not come with Game Pass or Xbox Live subscriptions, which are arguably the entire point of the system. Months before the news broke, we predicted Microsoft could make a cheaper digital-only set-top box to act as a portal to its services. Microsoft does extremely well engaging in core Xbox as a service user base with subscriptions and services, and Game Pass is the most successful yet, using recurring services like Xbox Game Pass. Microsoft can now make money from its games without actually selling them. A digital only Xbox would cement consumer in the ecosystem and set up another platform for Microsoft's new project, X Cloud streaming service, which in the entire business of games consoles is predicted on long-term revenues via subscription and game sales. Consoles are cheaper up front than PCs, but cost more to in the long run to run. When you consider Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, full game purchases, and other services. The diskless Xbox One isn't made to replace the core system, but complement them. The Xbox One family will now include free systems to give consumers the option to buy into their ecosystem in a flexible way. Well, I don't like that. Basically, they're just essentially they're saying that we're going to sell this diskless Xbox, and it's going to get you more or less into their ecosystem where you'll be paying more for their games anyway. If you look on the Xbox like store and you go to buy a new game, or on PlayStation or Xbox, by the way, they're always £60. And I'm like, I'm not paying £60 because I can go on Amazon and buy them for 40. The idea that now this whole idea of choice, oh, you've got the choice to buy them or not buy them. Well, I don't believe that for a second. I know for a fact that you want to cut out the middleman and you want that money directly going to you, which I can understand. But at the same time, you're not giving me the incentive to do it because you're not making the games any cheaper. This is a sly move by Xbox. They tried this a few years ago, their press conference, and then when it calmed down kind of thing, they're now trying to slide this out, which don't make a lot of sense to me because you've had to redesign the Xbox or just remove the disc thing, so it'd be simpler to do. But at the same time, you've done it and you're releasing it now. I think this is like a test of water for your next generation console that you've got coming out, where you're going to try and change the culture and make people have a discless consoles in the future. And I don't think that would go down too well. I really don't. And if you know, if they did come out with a new discless console and it was their next hardcore, you know, the Xbox One X.2, whatever the hell you want to call it, I don't know. Basically, I would probably download like the next Gears, the next Halo, but I wouldn't touch your console after that. I'd be like, fuck it, I'm not interested. In retrospect, that is my general opinion, and that's what I would probably do. Then you could argue, is it worth you picking up that console? Because quite frankly, you're only going to be playing 2 games. Well, no, it wouldn't be. But at the same time, I will say this. The Xbox future does look bright, and I say that with the games companies that they've been buying up left, right, and center to compete with Sony. If they haven't been making their own games, they've just been fucking buying companies that have got the abilities, the ideas, and everything else. I can't remember all the names. I think Ninja Theory they picked up as well. It was one of them. I think Sucker Punch. I don't know. Or did Sucker Punch go out of business? I'm not too sure. But they bought a number of big companies that look really interesting, and to put them into their ecosystem kind of thing, and say they make games for Xbox only, and basically they will have some interesting games on their next generation console. So that kind of puts us in the stipulation. So if I do buy an Xbox though, I'll just use it how I've been, like the next one, and it was discless. I would basically do this. I would play the next Halo, play the next Gears, and then any exclusive that they had, I might buy if I'm interested, but if I'm not, I'll just leave it, and it will become the next dust box, basically, of what I've been calling it, because I don't use it that much at all. And I won't use it in any way just for those specific exclusives, and I will go straight back to the PlayStation and play that primarily as my console. So yeah, I don't like what they're doing. It's like a culture shift. They're giving it in the idea of, oh, it's option or choice, but I'm like, nah, this is a tester, boy. You're testing us to see whether gamers will put up with your shit. And I don't think no one likes digital only games. You know, I've downloaded a lot of digital games, but that's because they're cheap or they were free. And it was a bargain, so it was worth it to me. But then I will just delete them off my system, and then I forget about them. They're trying to cut out the middleman, and the likes of CX or GameStop or whatever else won't exist anymore, because quite frankly, everyone, you know, they won't be able to make money off your pre-owned games. You won't be able to go and buy. You won't be able to go and browse in a store old school and just pick up a game for cheap. If you see something or a game you wanted and you're like, oh, it's here, it's pre-owned, I'll buy it, not for 20 on a sale, not for 15, but I can buy it for £8 here or something. You won't be able to do that anymore. GameStop and likes of Game have already come out and said they won't stock Xbox stuff anymore, or even sell Xboxes, at least I don't think they will, because there's just no money for them to be making off of them if you're going to do that, because they can't make money, so what's the point if it's digital only? So I don't like the culture, what the Xbox are trying to do, trying to sneak it in. I think this is a tester under the guise of, oh, we're giving people choice / options. I don't believe that for a second. I'm a little bit wary of that. Having said that, I do say the Xbox future does look bright with the companies that they've picked up. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the future as for Stadia or whatever. I don't know if I'll be investing in that either way. It sounds good and everything, but I'm still very wary of it. Anyway, guys, that is the end of this week's News Friday. I'll leave those questions up to you. Are you interested in Stadia? Are you going to be, will you be the first one on it? Do you think that your internet will be able to run that shit? Will you be upgrading your internet just to be able to run it? I don't know how I feel about it. I'm just not a fan too much of it at this point. Very skeptical. And what about the new Xbox discless? Will you be going out and buying one, or would you, you know, are you a fan of digital only games? So is that the future, do you feel? Or do you like your physical copies like I do? Like, I'm not even an old school gamer. I've been playing since 1995. Like most of my life kind of thing. So I wouldn't call myself an old school gamer, but I still like my physical copies nonetheless. Anyway, guys, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can now hit the PayPal button on the front of my YouTube channel, and you can donate to me monthly or just a one-time payment. It's up to you to help run this channel. And don't forget to join me next week for Assassin's Creed Part 6 to 10. South Park, then we'll finish the week after, I think. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.